Hey, how's it going?
Good, and you?
Oh, is that loud?
No, that's good.
No, it's good.
That's good. Just keep talking.
Keep talking smack.
How's First of all, congrats on getting through COVID year
Yeah, thank you.
in like the guts of COVID.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of it,
Yep. I dodged it pretty good.
and it was your neo pro year.
Yeah. I made it through all good. Roomed with a fella who tested positive for 7 or 8 days. And
Who are you rooming with?
Stevie.
Oh, the big dog.
Yeah. I was rooming with him on the Giro, and but I mean
Stevie Kreisbike for
yeah.
those that don't know.
Yeah, but then actually, just to be a bit safer, just before, maybe a couple days before he tested positive, we decided to do what they were doing at the tour and put everyone in separate rooms.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd been in a separate room for I think 1 or 2 nights, and then that's when he tested positive for it. And then after that, I was sort of like, oh, good chance I've been in a room with him for 7 or 8 days. I probably have it.
And?
Didn't have it.
Never got it.
Nah, never got it. Got
You're immune to
tested 3 or 4 times after it, like within a week, and nothing.
Yeah, wow.
So
What did he send you a text? Like, what did the team tell you?
nah. So in the morning, I saw the DS walking around, and at like 6 in the morning, I was like, drug testers are here, and someone's got doping control. And then he knocks on my door, and he's like, just to let you know, like, we've had a positive result and we've all got to be retested. So they've got these quick 15-minute tests that they can do. And you get the results straight away, but they're not as accurate. But then they say if you test positive on the big test and the quick test, then you've definitely got it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you test positive on the quick test, then they'll do the long test just to make sure. So yeah, Stevie tested positive on both. So like, yep, he's definitely got it. And then the rest of us tested negative on the quick test. So technically we could have started the next day.
Yeah.
Well, that morning we were meant to do a stage. But yeah, that's when the team decided that it wasn't really worth the risk.
Was it a bit hard watching it?
It was just weird because we rocked up to the start and we sort of got ready with the idea that we'd still race, but because there'd been other teams that had positive results as well, we were sort of thought it's not worth racing today until we know the full situation. So, we were just asking whether it's possible to postpone the stage until we know a bit more, or even to not do that stage and then continue after. But the organisers didn't want to do that at all. So, yeah, in the end, the managers of our team just decided it wasn't worth the risk. And, we just never left the bus.
Just went on home.
Yeah.
See you later.
Waited for the race to go and then left.
Yeah. Do you felt like, especially within Jumbo, you kind of, if you look from the outside, Jumbo quite on the end of professionalism. They're way down there on the scale of professionalism.
Yeah. I think, obviously there was a lot that went into that decision. It wasn't just like a quick decision at all. Like, it was people on the phone and discussing what it sort of meant if we continued racing, and if we had other riders test positive, if we did continue racing, and how that would look. And just even for the health and safety of us riders, but also the staff in our team. You got to remember as well, like, everyone thinks of the riders testing positive, but you also don't want to give this disease that's killing people to your bus driver. So us as a riding group, we had a conversation about it, and some guys were keen to keep racing, some guys were really against starting, and some guys just weren't really happy with how things had been done at the Giro at all.
Yeah. If you go back to when you signed, do you have other teams that you could have gone to?
Maybe. To be honest, Andrew McQuaid manages me, and I sort of said from the start, I said, as soon as Jumbo make an offer, that's where I want to go. And that was just purely off of having a conversation with one of the DSs there. It just felt like the best fit for me. So as soon as Jumbo made an offer, that's where I went.
What did he say in that conversation?
No, it was just more what they were planning to do, and how they did things and all that. It just sounded like a good fit for me. Like I'm pretty, I like structure and that sort of thing. And you could just tell there was a lot of structure within the team. And I thought, I probably, just from what he's saying, it feels like I'll get the best out of myself as an athlete if I go there compared to other teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that shows.
Yeah, I think it's showed, especially the last couple of years. I think, you've sort of seen the rise of the team. When I signed, they were racing the tour, and that's when it became really apparent. I think, especially at that team's time trial, where they sort of just blew everyone's doors off, and then they were sort of seen as up and coming. And now, especially how the team's managed this year with all the COVID stuff and still being so successful, I think that's just because purely just the structure and how things are done.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything that you were like, you didn't know about that you got there and you're like, oh, wow, hello?
Oh, it is a shock. Like, it's so different. Just what people ask you and that sort of thing. Where you're in a small Conti team, you're sort of always, in a way, like pushing to get things, if that makes sense. Like at the start of a year, you really want to get on your new bike and spend as much time before nationals. Whereas with Jumbo, I remember rocking up and they asked me to fly to the Netherlands to fit my kit. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we can go do that. And then spent the afternoon with all these people, like taking measurements of my body so I can have custom-made kit.
So everyone's on custom kit.
Yeah.
There's no small, medium, large. You just say, I'm Chris Harper. Give me.
Everyone gets measured up, and then they say, oh, what do you want? Like, do you want long nicks, short nicks? We just make it however you want it.
Yeah.
So that was different for me. Normally, you're just like, I'm a small jersey, and send it through. And then also in that same thing, they're like, oh, you need to come downstairs because you need to pick which bed you'd want. And I was like, what? And just trying out different mattresses. They're like, oh, if you do a grand tour, we're going to take your bed to every stage and we're going to send you a bed so you can sleep on that at home. And I was like, oh, this is a bit different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is different. So it was cool. It was nice in a way.
Is it the same with nutrition?
Yeah. I think I'm probably not a good one to ask because I haven't been on other teams, so I don't really know what other teams do, but my general feeling is on that side with how we do nutrition and our chefs, and we've got an app called Food Coach, which gives us all of what we need to have on a day-to-day basis. I think, by the sounds of things, I'd say we almost do it the best out of any team in the peloton.
Because that comes. So am I right in saying the app comes from the supermarket?
Yep. So the supermarket helped develop it.
Which is Jumbo, the sponsor.
Which is Jumbo. They helped develop it, and then now it's just like, so for example, on a training camp, we can go and look in the morning and it will tell us what we're having for breakfast, and then we click on it and it tells us how many grams of each thing that we need for breakfast. So if we're having rice porridge in the morning, it'll tell you how many grams, and we have our scales set up there. And then, weigh out all our food so we're getting enough in, obviously, for racing. And then after a stage, as soon as we finish, they get all our data from our garments and then recalculate whether we need more or less food at night. And then, it's just done really well. And I think that reflects, when you're doing things that good, of course, riders are going to recover better and that sort of thing. And I think that translates to, the performances the team's been having.
Yeah. That must be nice. Like, so rock up, you finish the stage, you rock up the next or that evening and for the next stage, and they tell you how much you need to eat.
Yep. You don't have to think about anything. So it's not like rocking up to a buffet and be like, oh, I'll have a couple scoops of rice. It's literally go up, put your plate on the scale and just weigh out what's in there. I mean, of course, if you're hungry and you want to take more, they're like, take a bit extra, but you sort of know, like, that's what I need. That's what's going to fuel me. So it's like, it's just easy. You don't have to think about it anymore.
I don't know what your experience was like, but I always struggled with that. It was like, here's a buffet, here's this massive stage I'm doing, another massive stage tomorrow. I don't know how much I need to eat. And then you just end up eating shit tons of food. And
Yeah.
now you're like, maybe I ate too much. I don't know.
And you even hear it as well with like seasoned pros who are like, oh, I put on weight through a grand tour. And you think like, oh, you know, I can see how it's easy to do because some days, you know, it can be a 200K stage, but still, you know, if there's two guys up the road and we cruise along at 150 watts, you probably don't actually, you know, really, I mean, other than being on the bike for a long time, you're probably not burning as much as you think. So if you adopt the attitude, oh, I'm racing and I need a smash in food or I'm not going to perform or... Yeah, so I think it just,
And
that's a big thing.
The consequences of not eating enough are so
huge,
big. Like,
huge,
like it's catastrophic if you don't eat enough.
Yeah. I mean, that's massive. I mean, you can ruin your whole race if you underfuel, which is probably more dangerous, and that's probably why people put weight on.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, if I underfuel, I'm going to go flat in the stage and I'm going to go terrible. Whereas, yeah, when you eat a lot, you obviously feel in your legs, you got heaps of energy, that sort of thing. So you feel better, but maybe maybe it's not as good. You come out of the tour and you're like, oh, I put on 2 kilos.
And that was my thought. That was kind of the thought process. It was always like, well, I'm just going to eat that bit more because if you don't, it's all over. Whereas if that's cool having that variable dialed.
Yeah, it's so good. It just I think there's no rider on the team that I don't think just really enjoys it. And the best thing as well is it's not like we're rocking up and they're like, oh, you need this amount of rice and then a little piece of protein or something. They're actually making like really nice meals and it's just...
Yeah, you're not eating cardboard.
Yeah, it's not boring to eat. So it's really nice food and then taking away the stress of really like thinking what you need.
It must be a nutritionist's dream come true.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, we've got one guy that I work with quite a lot in the team, and he's sort of the head guy who oversees everything. And then we've got what we call our food coach chefs, they also have like the back end of the program and all that, so they do all the recalculating. And then for him, it's more like, you know, those real fine details of performance sort of thing. So. Yeah, I mean, when you got heaps of people working on it, it's pretty incredible, really.
Yeah, because that was always the challenge. You'd have like this nutritional advice, which is great.
Yeah.
But actually measuring it was so hard.
Yeah. So I think the team...
What about coaching-wise?
Yeah, I mean, coaching-wise is the same thing. It's just so drilled, so professional, and yeah, I think it... Yeah, from what I mean, again, I haven't been in another team, so I don't know what it's like. But yeah, I know within our team, it's a group of coaches who all share the same sort of training philosophies.
Yeah.
And together we all have our individualized coaches. But, you know, they actually discuss it as a group still or talk about all the riders as a whole. And, you know, everyone's having an input because sometimes if one coach thinks one thing's going to be the best, then another coach might think, oh, but actually I think this could work a little bit better. And then if you create that discussion about, we can maybe do this a bit better, I think that's where you sort of grow a bit. Whereas, you know, if you can get lots of feedback from different people, I think that's a positive thing. And for them, I think that's what makes them so successful as a coaching group.
What about their support moving overseas? Obviously, that's one of the trickiest things as a neo-pro is you're going overseas.
Yeah.
You've obviously been overseas before, but it's your first time living there full time.
Yeah.
What was that like?
For me, it was pretty easy. I mean...
Just rolling over?
Hey?
Just rolled on over?
Yeah, just cruised over. No, it was pretty easy for me just because I moved in with one of my best mates, Alex Edmondson, and he's already got the apartment there. It's all furnished, set up. So in that respect, it was super easy. I sort of just rolled over there, went into a Rob Powers' old bedroom, and that
one
was
of his
it.
4 bedrooms.
Yeah. So that was pretty easy. And then obviously having Trinity as my managers, they were also, with all the other stuff, pretty helpful and, you know, setting up that side of things, or at least making me think about what I really needed to organise and
Yeah.
getting that done.
Yeah. And then the year, so you went over there, good TDU, good Aussie summer, in good nick. Then obviously the world collapsed and
Yeah,
things hit the fan. How'd you go mentally?
Not too bad actually. I got 2 races in before COVID really kicked off. So I did a race in France, and then I did Ruta de Sol.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and that's when everyone was like, "Oh, I think all this racing's going to get cancelled." And of course, I was like, "Nah, let's." I wanted to race. I was like, "Yeah, let's keep racing. This is good." And I was like, "Nah, I don't think so. Like, they're not going to cancel Milan-San Remo. It's too big to cancel it just because of some little virus." And then
this thing that came out of China.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, maybe we aren't going to race for a little bit. And then, my next lot of racing got cancelled straight away. So it was sort of all these discussions about, what's the best way to move forward. And then originally I was like, I'm just going to stay in Europe and, everything will be back to normal pretty soon, I hope. And then it was actually my coach kept asking me, he's like, do you want to go back to Australia? And every time I was like, nah, I want to stay over here. I want to be here for when racing resumes. And I think he asked me 4 days in a row. And then I was like, maybe I should actually ask him what he thinks. So I was like, do you think I should go back? And he's like, yeah, if you were my son, I'd tell you to go home.
Right.
And then that's when I was like, maybe I knew it was serious, but I was like, maybe this is going to be like, we're not racing for a long time. And I'm probably better being back in Australia with, because I'd only been over in Europe for maybe less than 2 months. So even though I was sort of getting settled in, I wasn't really settled. And I was like, maybe it isn't a bad idea to go home. So then that night he's like, I'll see what we can organise. And then an hour later, I had a flight the next morning back to Australia. So I think I left the day Girona went into a lockdown for 7 weeks. So
nice. How long did you go back for? Or how long were you back here for?
So I got back in March, and I didn't go back to Europe till July. So quite a while in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dodged. I remember seeing Jimmy Whelan saying it was 7 weeks on the ergo there. So
yeah,
dodged that.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a very long time.
That's a long time.
What are they thinking about this year? Obviously, similar situation. It's almost perfect here.
Yeah.
Bar a couple of hiccups, and it's a bit of a mess over there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when
a big mess.
I stopped looking at the figures and all that just because, you see in Spain or something, 30,000 cases a day and 500 deaths, and you're like, okay, that's not getting better anytime soon. And racing-wise, it sounds like some stuff's going ahead. Obviously, there's been a lot already that's either cancelled or put back.
Are you going to try and stay?
No. So I'm actually I'm going back to Europe a couple days after Nationals.
Yeah.
And then I'll be there for a week, and then I'll fly to UAE to do the UAE tour.
Oh, so you're doing the someone was telling me about this last night.
Yeah.
The UAE chartered flight from Europe to the UAE, which gets you past the COVID.
Yeah, which is silly in a way because you think, okay, I'm coming from South Australia where there hasn't been a positive COVID case for weeks, and that's unsafe, and I have to quarantine for 2 weeks. But a plane with a bunch of people from hotspots around Europe is going to travel there.
And what, do you all leave from one place?
Yeah, I think the idea is there'll be 2 chartered flights, one from Milan and one from Paris. And then, do that, and then you avoid quarantining.
So you have to go on a EasyJet flight from Barca to Milan.
Yep.
And then get on a UAE flight after you've come from the other side of the world back to Europe.
Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard when you say it. It's like hard to think that they think that that's the safest option, but I mean, I
guess it's what you get paid to do.
And to be honest, like racing wise, like I really want to race. I've been training well. I've had a good race. Well, I've enjoyed racing here. back in Adelaide, and then I'll do nationals. And yeah, I've done all this training, and I think my shape's starting to get pretty good. So yeah, I want to race, but yeah, I think it's also yeah, you've also got to think like, if stuff's not going ahead or getting cancelled, and you're just going over there to maybe be in a lockdown or that sort of thing, then that's when it's a bit disappointing. But yeah, I think we just have to wait and see. Hopefully, at some point things start to improve, or yeah, you just like last year, it was still bad, but they managed to get racing going, and yeah, just hope we can manage it and still get racing.
Yeah, somehow there was a season.
Yeah, there was
And
still
it was
a season.
good.
Yeah. You
Hiccup
talk to everyone.
at the Giro.
Yeah, I mean, for us, obviously, it was disappointing to not finish the Giro, but then even after that, it's like, Primo's won the Vuelta, and
Yeah.
so it was still awesome. It was awesome to watch.
How old were you last year?
25.
25.
Yeah.
So you turned pro later
Yep.
than the norm.
Oh yeah. I think most pretty much they're
Especially
signing kids these days.
Yeah,
aren't they?
especially like the Remco era.
Yeah. The Remco and I think I saw the other days.
Hershey and Pog and all of them.
Some
they're
team
so young.
signed like an 18-year-old
Spanish
talent.
Yeah, was it like
5 years or something? Yeah. So I'm definitely old, but then it's kind of funny because the team will always talk about me as though like I'm this young rider with
this rookie.
Yeah, like I signed the same time as Tobias Foss, who won Lavernier the year he signed with the team.
Yeah.
And they sort of talk about us in the same context, and it's like, he's 23 years old. Like,
yeah,
I feel like a grandpa compared to him almost.
Yeah. Yeah. When did it become real that you're going to go pro? Because for me, obviously I knew you, and Edmo just didn't stop talking about Chris Harper back in Adelaide. Jeez, he's good. He's so good. He's so good. He's so good. But it took a long time to get there. Like, when did it click? Oh, yep. All right. This is...
Yeah.
This is starting to work.
Yeah, there was definitely bits where I didn't think I would ever turn pro. One year in particular where I was pretty close to just hanging it up and going and doing something else, just because I came off the back of having a bit of a bad race in Europe, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'm just not good enough to do this. You know, there's only so many people in the world who can be professional bike riders, and maybe I'm just not one of them. And it was actually Andrew Christie Johnson who talked me out of it. He's like, no, I think you should keep at it. I think...
what year was this?
Maybe 2017?
Yeah.
Or actually maybe even 2018.
So you're like 23, 4.
Yeah, I would have already been, I think, around that. And yeah, like I'd finished Tour de Savoie, the race I won just before I turned pro. And I had a terrible race. Like, I just was expecting to do quite well, and I'd gone away and trained in Andorra at altitude, and got to the race, and basically, like, I hadn't been doing things right. I was anemic, so I was never going to race well anyway, and just got myself crook just from overtraining, really. And had a terrible race, just felt terrible the whole time. And then after that, I was like, you know what, like, I don't know if I want to do this really. And it took me a while as well. I mean, at the time I was still in Europe for a bit, and I was just mucking about, like, not riding at all. And then even when I came back to Australia, I was really just having fun. I was riding a little bit, but more just, hanging out with mates, riding to cafes sort of thing, not really doing any proper training. Put on a heap of weight, and then...
which is hard to believe. Based off your condition at the moment.
Yeah, I got to... do you want to know what I topped out at?
Give me a number.
I think I topped out at 77 kilos.
And what are you now?
Like 66.
Yeah.
So I shifted a bit. But yeah.
And was it all mental? Was it just like, it's just not going to click. It's just not going to click. Like, was it the piece that you lost? Was that, I'm not going to go pro?
Yeah, I think it was just like, I mean, like you said, I'm obviously not young, like a 18-year-old talent sort of thing. So I was like, what World Tour team's going to want to sign someone in their mid-20s sort of thing,
Yeah.
unless I can really do something good and be like, really show myself. And I was just like, maybe I'm not capable of doing it. And then, once you sort of, I guess as well, like once I got back to Australia and I was just hanging out with my mates, sort of thinking about what I wanted to do, and I was just having fun as well. Like I'd been quite, like I'm quite a regimented person. I'd been always so focused on I've got to do everything right to try become a professional, and now it was like I sort of took that away and just enjoyed myself for a month, and then I was like, all of a sudden, I think it was just one day I was like, you know what, I actually do want to keep riding my bike. Like I want to get back into it, and I want to do it properly. And then Andrew actually started coaching me because he just took over training me. And then, obviously being so big, I think this was in November, and Nationals started January. But he's like, okay, try drop a bit of weight, but obviously you're not going to be your lightest weight before Nationals, but it doesn't matter. Let's just focus on being as strong as you can possibly be. And then, I went to raced Tour of Tassie, and I was still pretty big there. And then, raced Nationals, and that was the year I got third.
Yeah.
Who won? Edmo. Edmo won that year, and got rolled on the line by Jay McCarthy.
Yeah. Do you think was that kind of, so obviously you made the decision you want to be a bike rider, but then there's also
no, sorry, that wasn't that year. I'm thinking.
I think that was the year after.
Yeah, the year after.
But yes. Like, there's a point where you say, all right, I want to be a bike rider. That's part one.
Yeah.
Part two is you got to actually get good at it again.
Yeah. So I mean, the main thing was obviously, in the past, I'd been a decent climber, and I could also time trial not too bad. And I mean, I can't sprint to save myself. Like I get dropped going around a corner most of the time. So that was off the cards. Even at 76 kilos, I still couldn't sprint. So I was like, if I want to go and become a professional bike rider, I've got to get good at climbing, which means, I can't be carrying all this extra weight up climbs. So part of it was like, okay, let's get fit again, let's get strong, but at the same time, gradually chip away at the weight without it being, without it having a massive impact on me. Without it having an impact on my riding and whether I could still produce the power. And I pretty much took from November until I went and did the races that I did well at in, would have been May maybe, I think. From there, it sort of, that's how long it took me to really get focused and get back into really good shape.
Was there a point where I was like, yep, this is going well, I'm going to be a pro?
Not really. Nah. I mean, I went to Tour of Japan, and Andrew and I discussed it, and we were like, Japan's nothing. Like, just go there and have fun, and it'll sharpen you up for these races in Europe, and they're the ones we really wanted to focus on. So we've always had a really good race over there called Tour de Savoie Mont Blanc, which like Egan Bernal's won. A bunch of really good climbers, and
it's well noted by the professional teams.
Yeah, I think as
guys
well.
That go well here.
Generally end up being quite good.
Yeah.
Or going into a World Tour peloton and being quite good. And I think that was the race I sort of wanted to focus on the most. But I went to Japan, and I think just having a relaxed attitude towards it as well. I was just enjoying the racing, and then the night before Fuji, I messaged Andrew. I was like, I want to win tomorrow. Like, what do I have to do? And he's like, I think you'd have to do this number.
What do you have to do?
I think it was like 385 watts for Mount Fuji or something. He's like, I think around there.
How many minutes is Fuji?
I think it's about 40, something like that.
Yeah.
He was like, I think you got to do around there.
It's a pretty big block of numbers.
He's like, I think if you do that, you should be okay. But obviously it depends on how everyone else at the race is going. And then, I'm not very good at waiting. So I went pretty early on the climb.
Yeah.
And Dylan Sunderland was already up the road and rode across to him, got a good turn, and then I just went solo up the climb, and then from there, I think as well, when you get a little bit of a result, you're like, you have a bit of a confidence in what you've been doing. You're like, this has been working, and I feel good. And then the next day we do the Kieran School, which if anyone's done Tour of Japan knows it's pretty brutal. You just either go up or down all day, and in that I felt really good as well. So when I went to Europe, I was like, I know I'm in good shape and all that, but obviously racing in Europe is there's maybe in Asia or in Australia there might be 10 good guys that are around your level, whereas in Europe it sometimes feels like you're at a race with like 50 guys who are almost as good as you. There's just a bit more depth there. And I did a race in Romania, which was an interesting experience, and I didn't do too badly, not amazing, but I was still going okay. I think I ended up 5th overall, but I would have been on the podium if I had a time trial bike. And then I was going to do Tour of Hungary, and then Andrew called me and he's like, "Nah, we're going 100% for this 4 days in France. You're just going to train, do everything right up until then, and then we're just going to go 100% for that." And then from the first stage, I was like, okay, I feel good. I had an all right ride on the first stage, and I was like, you know what? I think I can win here if I'm smart.
And
I did win,
Ooh,
luckily.
yeah.
But I think that race suited me as well, because it's just long climbs, everyone's tired, and it almost takes away being a bit of a smart bike rider in a way. You just can do well if you're riding well. So made it simple for me, and then from winning that, that's the race where obviously some World Tour teams have a look at it, and then that was the race where I was like, okay, now it's probably realistic to get a pro contract.
Yeah. The PC, that from that point where you were like, I don't know if this is for me, to there, like you always mention that, like everything was fun, everything was enjoyable, you were having a good time, Does that, or are you conscious of that now it's back to a super professional environment, everything's dialed at Jumbo, like how you maintain that enjoyment, that it doesn't go back to become a chore?
I actually think I enjoy it more now, to be honest, because it takes away, like what you said, it takes away that, how much do I need to eat sort of thing. Like everything's so
dialed.
Yeah, everything's so simple. You don't have to think. You just have to, these people are some of the best in the world at what they do. And it's like, if I listen to that, then I think I can get the best out of myself. So I enjoy it more, and I enjoy the process of, trying to improve as well, which I think, I know a lot of guys really need races on the calendar to go out and train, whereas, even through the whole Corona period when we didn't know when we were going to start racing, I was like, we'll just train and I'll use this to try and become better.
Who's the brains behind the team?
Well, the boss of the team's Richard Plugger. Oh no, not Plugger. I think that's his nickname.
Richie.
Yeah, but he's Richie. Yeah, we'll go with Richie. But he's
I assume as a Dutchman, he probably doesn't abbreviate nicknames.
No. So he's he's in charge of the team, and sort of I think he took over the team as it became Blanco.
Yeah.
Yep. So he took it over once.
Which was after the Rabobank.
Yeah, which was
finished,
after
which was obviously
Rabobank
a big
finished.
point in the team.
Yeah, and also it was for the team. I mean, they even talk about it now. It was really tough for the team. Then I think they had a year there where they maybe got one win for the season or something like that.
Yeah.
So he sort of has, he's really sort of built the team from, from ground up, really.
Why is his leadership so good?
I just think, I don't think it's just him. I think he gets people in the team who, he just gets a really good group of people. I think it goes back to what I said about the coaches. There's so many good people within the team thinking about how to do things in the best possible way. that I think it just means the team keeps building every year.
Yeah.
Like they're always looking for ways to improve, whether that's equipment or nutrition or anything like that. And I think that's what makes the team so successful, is just, continuing to want to improve. And continuing to try to win the biggest races in the world.
Yeah. Hey, Bailey, what time do you have to leave?
No, from here, probably in like 5
Minutes? Or 5 o'clock?
o'clock.
In 15 minutes? Do you need to do any packing up?
Nah, I'm sorted.
We can keep... What have we done? Another 35 minutes. We can keep talking a bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, Wood Van Aert. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Lots. He's just winning everything, isn't he?
Have you spent much time with him?
No, not really. But just before Corona all kicked off, he was in Girona, and I was meant to go race Strada, which he was going to, and he was really, really motivated to go and win it. And I rode with him a couple days after it got cancelled, and yeah,
What's he like?
He's a really nice guy. I mean, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him, just a
Yeah.
quick bike ride. But the one thing that stood out for me was just how disappointed he was that he couldn't race Strada. I was like,
He just loves it.
you could just tell that he really I'd really want to race as well if I could race like he can.
Yeah.
But he just really wanted to race it, and he couldn't, so he was just so disappointed.
Yeah, you say that though, but then a lot of the time when you get to that level, there is so much pressure. Like there's so much expectation on him.
Yeah.
He's Wood Van Aert. He's no longer like that cyclocross guy.
Yeah. I mean, you look at him now, and especially how he's raced this year, and I don't think you would speak to anybody in the World Tour peloton, and everyone knows how talented he is, and they're just like, the guy's a freak. Like I even rode with Richie today, and he's like, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows how good he is, but obviously going to a race, when you're that good, everyone's like, that's the wheel to be on.
You still got to turn it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the team like in terms of bringing everyone together in terms of a cultural performance, working for other riders? How did you find fitting into that? Because you've come from Andrew, who's obviously, I think, maybe the best athlete manager in terms of from a DS team perspective.
Yeah.
Like he gets people together. It works.
Yep.
Everyone believes in it. Everyone trusts him.
Yep.
How did you find that from a step up perspective, and the fact that it's a Euro team, people from all around the world?
I think it's almost the same in a way that, one, it makes it really easy to believe in the idea of you're going to races to win them, especially when you see the leaders on the team and you look at their Palmares, and it's like, okay, like going into the Giro, and they're like, we're going there to win the pink jersey with Stevie. It's like, okay, like I want to be in the best possible shape I can be, because Stevie can win the pink jersey, but he needs a team around him that's able to help him as much as possible.
Yeah. So
you sort of just believe in the fact that you're there and you're capable of achieving the team's goals for the race. And you just want to, you want to be a part of it, really, don't you? Like, you don't want to be the guy in the team that can't contribute anything to this amazing result. So you're like, I got to be in the best possible shape, and I want to help out.
Yeah, it must be cool. Like the team's always got purpose.
Yeah.
There's never like, sometimes there's squads and you see them at races and you're like, what are they doing there? It's like they're really just hoping for an opportunistic breakaway. Like that is the only option of victory here.
Yeah.
Whereas Jumbo is always, you're always like, that guy.
Yeah, I haven't been to a race last year, that it wasn't like, we're there with a clear objective. Like every race I went to, it was, we're here to do this. And most of the time, everyone was there, everyone understood that, if we do things right, we can get results here. And I think that's what makes it so easy for everyone to do what they need to do, because you really actually just believe like, we can get a result here. Yeah.
But then on the flip side, the good thing about that team that you see that you're like, I'm not really sure what they're doing, is the opportunity part.
Yeah. I guess as well, if you're in a team that's maybe not got a big leader or something, that means you could have for example, like you saw, I know they had a big leader, but like Ben O'Connor was very taking opportunities at the end of the Giro there and getting stage wins and all that. So I guess that's one example of sort of opposite ends of the spectrum. But
they articulate that to you as to where your opportunity lies, where it's going to become? How does it become the Chris Harper show?
I think the way they plan it out is they normally throughout the year give everyone opportunity at something to sort of, maybe be even if you're not a protected rider, to sort of be in a role where you don't have to do the team job sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as well, and it helps especially someone like me and also the younger guys on the team, because I don't think you can just go from working for all these big guys in our team like Stevie and Primoz to, the next day, now I'm the person. Like, I think they sort of give you a bit of an introduction and allow you to grow into what it would be like in that role if you became good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously it's never you never see your name on the team plan on the a big grand tour, and it's like, you've got a free role sort of thing. But yeah, the smaller races in the build up to something like that, it might be okay, we think some of this race could suit you and you could be protected for some of it.
Yeah, it's that fine balance, isn't it, between not everyone's Remco.
No.
The majority are.
Yeah.
There's a progression.
Yeah, there's like a stepping stone. I think you've seen it. The best example in our team of that is probably Sepp at the moment. Sepp's sort of taken those steps within the team, and now, he's incredible. And I think you'll probably see it even more this year if he goes to some week-long stage races, and maybe he's more not in that role of just working and there to sort of get a result himself. Then I think that continues to sort of step in the direction of maybe Sepp becoming a Grand Tour contender one day.
Yeah. Last question. You talked about the plan for the Giro. How planned is it?
What do you mean?
In terms of leadership, stages, strategy around it?
Pretty planned. But I mean, a general idea, you're like, we're going to the Giro, we're trying to win pink with Stevie. Yeah. And then
big goal at the top of the page.
Yeah, it's
pink jersey.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Even when you see when Stevie's on the list to do the Giro, you're like, okay, I know what we're going to the Giro to do. But it's they are. We're super thorough with how we do everything, and it just becomes doing everything correctly, so everybody's in the best possible position to help Stevie as much as possible, if that makes sense. So obviously within the team, you got guys who will push the wind on a flatter stage and keep everyone out of trouble, and stages where, say, if we're meant to support Stevie in the mountains, maybe we take it easier today because tomorrow's a really hard day, sort of thing. It's about thinking about those little sort of things where get the most out of that, and then.
Were you his right hand man?
No, definitely not.
Who was his right hand man?
We had a bit of a younger group at the Giro. Probably as far as climbers, we had Antoine Tolhoek, who he's won a stage of Tour de Suisse, so he's a very good climber. Yeah. So generally, they probably would have gone into the race thinking he'll be the last guy, and then Koen Bowman, who's done quite a lot of Giros with Primoz. Mm-hmm. So they were sort of the more experienced guys in the mountains for us. And then, it was more just about if we had the legs to just stay with Stevie as long as possible and just support him as long as possible. Yeah. And then on the flat stages, it's like Tony Martin, Jos van Emden. It's
the big boys.
They know what to do.
Is Tony Martin out their way? Did you experience like the Tony Martin train?
Oh yeah.
Is it out of control?
Yeah, like
what?
I couldn't believe it.
Even.
Just one stage. I can't remember what stage number it was, but it was we went up this small little kick, and then it was like a fast run down, and then a little kick to finish. And Tony was getting Stevie into position, and I was sitting on the back of Stevie, and Tony just towed us on the left hand side of the peloton, just held us there, and he's just in the seat, just cruising, and I was out of the seat sprinting as hard as I could just to hold his wheel going up this small little rise, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, it was just it was an unreal experience. I was like, wow, this guy's so strong.
The team bosses said we need to go.
Yeah.
So we better go. You better race this afternoon. It's 41 degrees outside and you've got the TDU crit this afternoon.
Yeah. On the big jobs.
Thanks, Chris Harper.
Thanks for having me.
Good TDU unpack.